To explain if you've never seen it before, and so I'm sorry if there's any confusion. So we'll do a simulation now, and I think that'll be a way for everyone to understand what's going on.
And as the chairs, we will smile upon certain motions. If there's something that is next on the agenda, we would smile on a motion to open debate, or we would smile on a motion if you would like to comment to this first. So we'll help you along on the agenda. Yeah.
When are we gonna?
Those are in the resolutions, you mean?
We have.
Okay.
Okay, so so what we're gonna do is, who was here last year? Was anyone here last, or like any delegates here last year? Well, we're gonna do what we did last year, which is because a lot of you haven't researched before, we're gonna do a simulation, but we're not gonna use a topic that is talked about in the United Nations. It's gonna be Coke versus Pepsi. So the way this is gonna work, so let's pretend this is the beginning of the conference, and you're all getting situated, you're all sitting down, so we're all here. All right, so then what would happen is someone would raise, we're having placards, I believe. So you'd raise that, and so someone raise it. Okay, then you would motion to open the debate.
Motion to open debate.
Okay.
That is in order. We will now vote on that. All in favor, please raise your placards.
So if you want to open debate, you raise your thing. And anyone?
All opposed? This motion clearly passes. We are now in debate. And we will now be opening the speakers list.
So then you guys we'd have whoever was proposing the resolution. We don't have one, but say France proposed that Coke was better than Pepsi. So we would put France up. And then after that, we would have everyone would raise their placards, and just in a random order, we would pick all your guys' names, and we'd write them down. You'd be able to see that, so you would know what order, like when you were coming up, or if you had a while, if you wanted to add something to your speech. So say we had France, Portugal.
Then a second.
Well, some of the resolutions, there isn't seconds on resolutions. It's just the person proposing the resolution.
Actually, there is a second.
There is a second on them? Oh, okay. Okay.
Each of our three resolutions has one proposal.
Oh, it's because they're Winnipeg, right? Okay, sorry. Anyway, so I guess is a second, sorry. We had to use the resolution on the second. So then we'd add the second, and then we would open
The list.
And everyone would raise their placard, and that's how we would make the list. Yeah.
The country who opens the list, they got to go first, right?
Yeah, they get to go first. Well, you can choose not to go first, but for this purpose, let's say that person wants to go first. So then we'd have all your names down, and say if you didn't have your name down or you wanted to speak again, that's when you would send a note. Say,
Please be out.
like you say your country name, and then you'd be like, can I please be out of the speakers list? And then we'd have someone come up and write it on. Yeah.
Is there a limit on how many times you talk?
I think it's just time, like whenever, if like, say we have a ton of people on the list that haven't spoken yet, and we'll be like, we don't have a lot of time, so maybe we'll close the speakers list so that people will have enough chance to talk. But say if everyone's going really fast and we've got a lot of time, so we'll be like, we'll encourage you guys to speak again. So like based on ideas that you've come up with while you're here.
Basically, the only limit is that you need to have actually spoken. You can't still be on the list and add yourself a second time. You will give your speech, and then after we remove you from the speakers list, you can be re-added on.
Yeah.
Yes,
that is possible.
Can you
motion to reduce the speaking time?
Oh.
So that
is
is a pretty common thing that happens.
Or you can raise it. So that would just be a motion to raise the speaking time to 2 minutes, or motion to reduce the speaking time to 1 minute. Then we would vote on that measure, and it would just be a majority vote to change the speaking time. And it can be changed multiple times during the conference. If you feel that no one is filling the minute 30 time slot, you can reduce it. If you feel like everyone is still having a lot of ideas to discuss, you might want to raise the time. Again, changes throughout the conference.
Yeah. So, say back to the speakers list. Say I was France and I was the first person to talk. I would come up. We'll probably have a podium, I believe, or it'll just be we'll have a designated place for you to stand when you're making your speech. So I would talk. My resolution is saying that Coke's better than me. Coke is so much better. I don't state all the facts, the research, how it's less in sugar, less caffeine, whatever my country believes why Coke is better. So I would say that could be a lot of reiterating what I'm saying in my resolution. But I'm trying to persuade all you guys that Coke is better than Pepsi. So,
at the dais, we will be grading your speech.
Oh no, there's no grading.
Oh, there's no grading. I'm sorry.
And then, I exhaust my speaking time, I go back, I sit down, then that's when the comments come. So then, what you would do after I sat down, everyone would raise their placard, and then we create like a really small speaking list of 2 people who would then do the comments. So, say I was Saudi Arabia, and I wanted to come up here and say comment, I'd have 30 seconds. I think Pepsi's better. So then you would state your facts, but you have a smaller time to do it. Then you'd sit back down, someone else could come up. And then after you've done the 2 comments, the next person on the list comes up. Any questions?
All right. So we will go to exhaust the speakers list.
Yeah, until like we have break, or you guys are gonna go into caucus or lunch.
Or if you feel that all the ideas have been discussed, that we're pretty certain how your country is going to vote on the resolution, you can motion to close the speakers list. And then once the speakers list is exhausted, we will move into voting block.
Because the way resolutions, just because they've been proposed doesn't mean they're going to go into action. You have to vote, like the group as a whole needs to vote on whether or not they think that this is a good idea and that it should be implemented by the United Nations. So we'll have voting block, which is kind of a secretive time. No one else is allowed to come in. You are not allowed to pass notes. It's very strict because they don't want anyone to be biased in the UN by anything. So we would go into voting block, and it's not blind or anything. Everyone, you'd say,
well, if we're voting on resolution 1, and we had a motion and we voted on it and we moved into voting block, the next thing we would do is I would say, there will be no entering or leaving the room, no passing of notes, no food and drink, and we will now vote on resolution 1. All those in favor of resolution 1, and then if your country is in favor of resolution 1, you would raise your placard. All those opposed, and then it would pass by a majority vote.
Is this before you've caucused?
I believe, when will the caucuses be?
well, there'll be caucuses scheduled throughout the day. So it just depends on if the schedule hasn't been set yet, but caucuses most likely you'll be able to caucus on one of the resolutions. I was just about to get that. So that's when you could write amendments if you wanted to in your interest group. So say we were doing the speakers list until break. We had break, and say we came back and then we had a caucus after that. The group could caucus and create the resolutions, and then you could come back to the speeches, and if you decide that that's enough, then you can move into voting block. So we'll most likely have some sort of scheduled caucus so that there's an informal time for them all to talk. We just haven't set the official schedule
It'll
yet.
be Saturday afternoon.
Saturday, yeah. Yeah, we most likely won't vote until later in the day.
Actually, it's scheduled for Sunday.